Good afternoon and welcome to the Florida Weather Watch's special YouTube video update on the severe weather threat that is potentially coming for northern Florida as we get into the afternoon hours tomorrow, which is Sunday, uh, March 12th, and then lasting all the way into the afternoon hours on Monday, March 13th as we prepare across Florida for a strong cold front to come through and the weather pattern change that I was describing in my previous YouTube video. But before I continue with the special update and the severe weather that is potentially coming for northern Florida, please hit that subscribe button below to help grow this channel even further. Also, make sure that you hit that like button, and most importantly, please share this link out with share the link out to this video with all of your friends and family that are in northern Florida, as they need to be preparing for severe weather and being on the lookout for severe weather starting tomorrow afternoon and lasting into Monday afternoon. With that being said, let me transition into our forecasting part of the video. And what I'm starting out with here is the Storm Prediction Center's outlook, which is their forecast for severe weather and the chances for severe weather across across the United States. So what you're seeing right here is the categorical outlook, the probabilities of severe weather uh, throughout the United States. And these colors represent different things. Okay, so this, which call it, right here, this right here is going to be this is the slight area is where the highest concentration of severe weather will be tomorrow. And typically what this is seen as is anywhere for a 2 out of 5 chance for severe weather uh, in the area that is and highlighted in yellow here, which is the slight severe weather risk, which means that there is a 40% chance of severe weather. That could be anywhere in the between the fashion of damaging winds. It could be hail. It could even be tornadoes. And what I'm going to go through with you today is the potential for all three of those in this event that is coming up for tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, and into the day on Monday. So the reason why this could be a big threat is because there is a weather pattern change that is coming forth for the entire United States uh, coming up this week. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take this off, and what we're going to look at first before I get into the computer forecast models is the percent chances of each of these threats. The largest threat is actually going to be hail. So when you look at this imagery right here, you see 15% chance of hail across northern Florida here. Let me go back to this. For some reason did not want to do that. So okay, so what you're going to see here is you have a 15% chance for hail across the southeast United States, northern Florida. But pay attention to this area right here, where you see those hash marks, and that does include Pensacola and Destin, Florida. Those hash marks represent a 10% or greater probability of 2-inch diameter hail or larger. So the areas in the western Florida Panhandle, that includes Pensacola, Destin, Florida, these areas are under the threat for very damaging hail coming up tomorrow afternoon and especially tomorrow night when we get a second wave of severe weather that builds in. So that is threat number one. We're going to be looking at the hail threat for the Florida Panhandle tomorrow. The next threat that we're going to look at is wind. Now, what this wind outlook shows is the probabilities of getting strong tropical storm force winds, which is anywhere from 58 miles per hour or higher. So generally speaking, anywhere between 60 miles per hour and 74 miles per hour, which is hurricane force winds. Notice there's no areas here, those no dashed lines. So currently the thinking is there will not be hurricane force wind gusts in these thunderstorms, but still 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts in a thunderstorm could do some damage. Uh, just as we know here in Florida, as Floridians, um, we understand that tropical storm force winds can do a lot of damage. So it's nothing to play with. The lowest threat is tornadoes, although I want to caution that there is not a 0% chance of tornadoes in this area. There is a 5% chance of tornadoes in the western Florida, half of the Florida Peninsula, I mean the Peninsula Panhandle, as there could be some thunderstorms that could get some rotation as we get into the evening hours tomorrow. Now, as we move further and we go away from the Storm Prediction Center outlook, I want to show you exactly what's going to be causing this to happen. So this is what's called the water vapor imagery for the entire United States. And what we're going to notice here is you got a big spin up here in the Dakotas right here. And extending away from it is a big, large cold front here. This is what's really going to cause a lot of change in the weather pattern across the United States here. Uh, and this is going to be starting to dive down closer to the southeast United States. What you'll notice is this area of low pressure right here, which is a nor'easter happening right now, and this trailing front, as these storm systems are coming through, they are starting to dip down and across like this because of the weather pattern change I talked about in my last video. So what's going to end up happening is all this energy that is in the southwest United States right here is going to be translating across into the southeast United States, into northern Florida, and that energy is going to be what's going to help produce the severe thunderstorms that we are going to see in northern Florida. By the time it gets down here in South Florida, the energy is going to die off, and it's not going to be as significant. But the biggest threat is for northern Florida for severe weather. Now, normally when I take you through the computer forecast models, I'm going to take you through typically the European model, the ECMWF model, or the GFS model, which is the Global Forecasting System model, or the United States model. Not today. Both of those models don't really show the fine details of a severe weather episode. So what I'm going to take you through is what's called the HRW model. This is the high reflectivity weather model. So this is a model that severe weather forecasters look at to see the ingredients for severe weather, the energy at the surface, what's available at ground level for these thunderstorms to really develop. Also, the amount of wind shear in the atmosphere that can start turning things and rotating storms in the atmosphere, as well as what's called helicity. And helicity sounds like a fancy word. And again, I tell you, I'm going to teach you how to understand this very easily. So helicity is pretty much the amount of like spin, the amount of energy for storms to spin in the atmosphere. And of course, if over land you get storm spinning, that's where you get your tornado threats. So the first thing I'm going to show you today is the reflectivity, which is pretty much what these storms probably will look like on radar. And I'm showing you the this reflectivity because it's going to show you where the strongest of thunderstorms could possibly form. So what we're looking at is this is as of Saturday at 13Z. 13Z would translate to roughly 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and it's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon right now. But this was the latest model that came out. So as we step it through time, what I want you to focus on is as I step it through time, watch the energy build over the southeast, over Louisiana here. And as it starts building over this area and it starts diving south with a cold front that is going to be coming, the first round of severe thunderstorms will be coming at, as you see right here in this imagery, you're going to see that the first round of severe weather and possible storms will be, actually, let me step this out through time a little bit further, uh, will be for northern Florida around 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's where you're going to see round one. So right here is going to be our round one of severe weather right here that could happen. So this is round one. And I probably should be using the text tool, but that's going to be round one. Now, what I want you to notice is look at these showers and thunderstorms, these small little pop-up showers and thunderstorms that are building behind it with the secondary cold front that's going to be right here. And what you're going to notice is, as we step this through time, is that we have a second, even larger wave of showers and thunderstorms that comes through into northern Florida. And by this time, it's Monday at 2Z, and we're talking about Sunday night at roughly 8 to 9 p.m. So there's going to be two rounds of severe weather, and this round right here is the one that really could produce the hail. Because when you look at this imagery, these deeper dark red colors right here represent where you could see the best chance for hail. And that's why hail is a real concern, because these storms will be high up in the atmosphere. There will be some very cold air feeding into it and some very dry air feeding into the back of the system that will cause for there to be the potential for hail. And then as you see, as we get into Monday morning over here in northern Florida, the thunderstorms still remain not as prevalent as before, but there could be a second round of severe weather that could develop in the Ocala Gainesville area right here. And that's why when we go ahead and we look at the Storm Prediction Center's outlook for day 3, this is for Monday, you're going to notice that there's a marginal risk, a 1 out of 5 chance on the for severe weather in northern Florida going down into central Florida as the rest of this system starts moving through. So that's view number one. That's the reflectivity. That's what the thunderstorms could look like on radar. The next thing I'm going to show you is the amount of energy that's going to be available at the surface. So we're talking about ground level, and uh, this is what's called surface-based CAPE. Okay, CAPE stands for convective available potential energy. Pretty much, let me make it easy for you to understand. That means how much heat and how much heat energy is available at the surface, where we are on ground level. And what we look for potential for severe weather is we look for anywhere from wait, not that, not, did not want to do that. Let me go ahead and get rid of this. Okay, what we look for is typically we look for anywhere. Let me go ahead and zoom back down, go back here. We look for anywhere between anywhere at 1,000 or above is enough for thunderstorms and severe thunderstorms to develop. Obviously, once you start getting to 2,000, this 2,000 mark here and above, this is where you really can get some very strong to severe thunderstorms. But even at 1,000 Cape, you could get some pretty strong thunderstorms. Um, so what I want you to notice is the timing as I go ahead and restart this model here. And I want you to pay attention. So pretty much we're looking for anything in this blue color right here. Anything in these blue colors or higher is what we are looking for severe weather. So let me go ahead and I'm going to start this back up here from the beginning. And notice, I want you to watch this area right here. Notice how it surges up into Arkansas, up into Louisiana. And then when we get into Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, this is the time period where we're going to see this energy start to build from the Gulf of Mexico. We're going to start to see some heat energy building in the Gulf of Mexico here across into into the northern Florida Panhandle here and into northern Florida as we have a cold front that is going to be surging right here. And ahead of this cold front, what's going to end up happening is we are going to see that energy really increase uh, across the area here. So as I go ahead and step it through time here, You're going to notice that energy continues to build, and then it gets shoved further south as the cold front starts moving into the Florida Peninsula. Um, and that is where we see there's going to be some energy in the atmosphere definitely in place um, come Sunday afternoon. As you can see, widespread areas of surface energy available. Now, the last view that I'm going to show you for today is what's called storm relative helicity. And this is where it's going to show us our potential actually, let me go ahead and change this to 0 to 3. Actually, not 0 to 3, 0 to 1. So what this is going to show us is the amount of potential energy there is for storms to spin. So what we're going to look at is obviously the brighter colors here are going to show us where our areas of rotation could be in the atmosphere. Actually, let me go ahead and switch it over to this one. This one will be a much better. This one's going to show us where our real, 1 second, not that, this view, sorry. This is where it's going to show us our potential for storms to really spin at the surface. So whenever we get into these numbers down here, whenever we start seeing twos or above, that's where we could really see some potential conditions for tornadoes. And you see that there is some potential for some small potential for tornadoes across the northern Florida region and southern Georgia come Sunday night here. This would be at about 7, 8 o'clock on Sunday night. So you see here, this is the reason why we have the 5% chance available for tornadoes, because there is going to be a little bit of energy, a little bit of vorticity possible building into these storms across northern Florida. It's not great. It's not going to be a tornado outbreak, so do not panic. There's not going to be any bit of a tornado outbreak that occurs with this. Uh, but there could be the potential for an isolated tornado or two. So you just got to be careful. You got to be weather wary for Sunday night into early Monday morning hours. That's when this would peak. And then as we keep on stepping it through time here, the energy starts really dying for anything tornadic. Barely any energy over Florida here, which is why there's only a marginal risk for severe weather, because all this vorticity energy starts dying. So the bottom line is when we go back to the Storm Prediction Center site and we go to day 2 tomorrow, be on the lookout for hail. Be on the lookout for strong damaging winds that could come with these thunderstorms, but there is not going to be a tornado outbreak, so there's no reason to panic about a tornado outbreak. Um, just be very alert to any severe thunderstorms. Just play it smart. Stay inside when there's severe weather if you're given a severe thunderstorm warning, and you will be safe at that point. So, thank you very much for joining in on the Florida Weather Watch's special update and forecast for the severe weather threat for northern Florida coming up tomorrow and tomorrow night, and then it will translate down into central Florida, but much less of a risk on Monday. Ahead of a strong cold front that will be coming through the state come Tuesday. And I'll provide a video on that tomorrow. If this severe weather risk does warrant it, and if there's going to be a higher risk for severe weather that develops for tomorrow, I will do a YouTube live stream. If need be, I will announce that probably in the morning hours tomorrow. I'll set that up if I feel like there's a greater risk for hail, greater risk for damaging winds, and a greater risk for even tornadoes. But as it currently stands, it will not be an outbreak of any kind. Just be severe weather ready. And as I will always do, closing out every video with this quote from my late great cross country coach: "There will be weather, whether or not." But whatever the weather will be, I will be there ready to help keep you ahead of the storm. So thank you very much for joining. Please subscribe. Please hit that like button. Please share out with all your friends and family, and have a fantastic rest of your Saturday.